Alain Prost, the Professor. He's the fourth most laureate driver in Formula One, but back in 1981, the Frenchman was only in his second F1 season. However, by the time he topped the grid of that season's Dutch Grand Prix, he'd already sampled every step of the podium. When the lights went out that Sunday in Zandvoort, he went on a drive that laid the foundations of his reputation as a superb, smooth, and calculating racer. He proved it by fiercely defending the lead from reigning world champion Alan Jones. The Australian was third on the grid, but within 5 laps was all over the rear of Prost's Renault. The Frenchman made the most of the superior power of his turbocharged car, pulling away on the straights. And he showcased the utmost accuracy through the corners to keep the Australian at bay. When Jones momentarily took the lead, Prost showed all his grit and determination to come fighting back immediately.
And what a wonderful fighting Gallic move that was. Alain Prost refuses to give in. You'd think this young Frenchman had been driving in Grand Prix for years and years.
The pair lapped faster than anyone else in the field, but the Frenchman held firm and started to pull away. Both lapped everyone up to 6th, not once, but twice. Prost crossed the line to take his second career victory after showing the maturity and confidence of a veteran.
If ever there was a world champion of the future, we're looking at him now.
Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna's rivalry is now the stuff of legend. But back in 1985, no one had yet seen the pair go head-to-head. That was until the San Marino Grand Prix. Senna led from the start, with Prost's McLaren charging through from 6th. The Frenchman climbed his way up the field and reeled in the Brazilian until he was shadowing the black and gold Lotus. Equal on points in the championship, the wheel-to-wheel racing between the two was a titanic fight for pride. The more experienced Prost tried every trick up his sleeve to find a way past, but Senna defended for his life.
Senna is doing everything right in front. Prost is potentially quicker than him, and this is really tremendous stirring stuff. Prost is giving him every ounce of pressure he can.
Senna won the on-track battle, but his car ran out of fuel a few laps later.
Senna's in trouble, so Senna slowed right down out of the blue.
Prost would go on to cross the line first and win the race. That was until post-race scrutineering found his McLaren to be 2 kilos underweight. Promptly disqualified, neither driver had won the war. But despite all of this, the pair had given the world a glimpse of the future. 2 incredible racers putting their cars on the limit in the ultimate spectacle. Bent like a banana. That's how McLaren's chief designer John Barnard described the condition of Alain Prost's car after this crash at the 1986 Belgian Grand Prix. In attempting to avoid Gerhard Berger's Benetton, Prost collided with the barrier at the hairpin. After pitting for repairs, Prost re-emerged at the bottom of the field. But over the next 42 laps, he stubbornly showed all his skill to drag the extremely damaged car through the field. Every trip through Eau Rouge was a new challenge, not knowing how the car would react. Incredibly, not only did he finish the race, but crossed the line in an amazing 6th position, taking 1 point for the World Championship he would eventually win. The finale of the 1986 season in Adelaide was a nail-biter of a race. Prost stood on the precipice of his second World Drivers' Championship, but both Williams drivers stood in his way. Championship leader Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet. Mansell would take the title if he finished 3rd or higher, while Piquet needed to win, and so did Prost. Knowing there was no way he could take pole, the Frenchman focused on setting up his McLaren for race day. He lined up 4th on the grid and lost a place to 5th in a frenetic first lap that saw 3 different race leaders.
A superb start from Nigel Mansell. Senna is challenging for the start and he goes through and he takes the lead. Piquet going through and trying to take Senna. One Brazilian passes another and we've got a 3rd leader before even 1 lap has been completed.
Prost held back, letting the race settle down, but soon set about making his way back up the order.
There is Alain Prost, who has got in front of Nigel Mansell.
Alain Prost, as ever, is starting to charge. And Ox beats Piquet. Wowee! Now, Piquet goes off, Prost goes through. Now we have the two McLarens, first and second. Rosberg leads and Prost is second.
A pre-race agreement with Rosberg would have allowed Prost through, but before that could become a reality, a slow puncture forced the Frenchman to pit for a change of tyres. He agonisingly sat as his pit crew struggled to lift his car onto the jacks. He rejoined in 4th place, using his fresh rubber to set a series of lap records. But with 19 laps to go, the drama really kicked off.
Rosberg out! If this isn't a sensation, I would like to know what is. And look at that! And colossally, that's Mansell! That is Nigel Mansell! Mansell is out of the race. Now, this could change and will change the World Championship.
Now it was Piquet versus Prost. Williams pulled the Brazilian in for a precautionary stop, which left Prost in prime position, but with his fuel gauge reading negative. No one knew whether he could make it to the checkered flag, and Piquet piled on the pressure, setting the fastest lap of the race. But Prost managed to cross the line.
He wins the Australian Grand Prix. He wins the World Championship of 1986.
I cannot believe, it's fantastic. I knew that it was possible, I was always confident, but I knew that I need luck, a little bit of luck to win this championship, and I had some luck today, so it's really fantastic.
Most people will remember the 1987 Japanese Grand Prix weekend for Nigel Mansell's huge accident in qualifying, one which, for the second year running, ended his title hopes. But what is less remembered is one of Prost's most incredible comeback drives. Starting on the front row just behind Berger's Ferrari, the pair shot into the lead. They stretched their legs through lap 1 to lead the field by a clear margin. It looked set to be a Ferrari versus McLaren duel, but disaster struck for Prost. A left rear puncture left him limping back to the pits. In 25th position and 2 laps down, the Frenchman's race seemed all but over. But as other drivers' machinery gave up to the challenges of Suzuka, Prost regularly lapped a second faster than anyone else. He crossed the line 7th, setting a fastest lap 1.7 seconds quicker than the next fastest. His efforts harked back to Jim Clark's legendary drive at Monza in 1967 or Juan Manuel Fangio's win at the Nürburgring in 1957. The inaugural Brazilian Grand Prix at Sao Paulo looked set to be Ayrton Senna's day. Leading away from the lights to the cheers of the home crowd, nothing could stop the local hero from taking glory.
And it's Ayrton Senna straight into the lead, Gerhard Berger chopping along behind him.
But Prost wasn't easily intimidated. Having started 6th, he steadily made his way up the grid. By lap 17, he took 3rd place from Berger with this late braking manoeuvre into turn 1. A few laps later, 2nd place man Thierry Boutsen was out of the equation. It was now a Senna-Prost 1-2, but not for long. A clumsy coming together between backmarker Satoru Nakajima and the Brazilian left his McLaren with a broken nose. Senna could have waited. The long straight was just a corner away, and his power advantage would have made the pass easy. Impatience had cost him. The Brazilian's loss was Prost's gain. In his gleaming Ferrari, he took an emotional 40th win and his 6th Brazilian Grand Prix victory. A remarkable feat, and one that clearly mattered to him.
I just wanted to do well and wanted to win this race. And I just wanted to push hard from the beginning, and I'm very, very happy. And for me, for sure, it's maybe my best win in my career. With the first with Ferrari. It's a good start of the season.
After a humiliating defeat to Senna at Donington Park, Prost came bouncing back at the very next race for the 1993 San Marino Grand Prix. In similar wet-dry conditions, the Frenchman made the most of the warm-up session, tweaking his setup to ensure maximum traction on his Williams for the race. Prost had secured pole position, but he wouldn't keep it for long. Teammate Damon Hill and Senna got past at the start, and the Frenchman fell back to 3rd. Things weren't easier at the front though, Senna and Hill sliding wide, but keeping their positions with equal doses of skill and luck. As the race entered its 12th lap, the Brazilian pitted for slicks, but as he rejoined the track, he got boxed in behind Hill, an opportunity that Prost wouldn't waste. The Frenchman followed the squabbling duo down into the Tosa curve, watching closely as the pair took the racing line. He decided to go for it and take the damper inside line, swiping them both in one brilliant move to sail to the flag. That was until lap 53, when Prost's lap time alarmingly dropped. His throttle had stuck open frighteningly at 200 miles an hour. Only through incredible car control and racecraft did he manage to declutch and brake hard to take the corner. Crossing the line, an immensely relieved Prost took his 46th Grand Prix victory to reduce the championship deficit to Senna to just 2 points. At the 1993 British Grand Prix, fans were treated to an intense intra-team tussle for pole. Home hero Damon Hill shaving tenths off his French teammates' time, only for Prost to come back and shave a few tenths off again. His first battle won, Prost took pole by 0.128 seconds, much to the dismay of the British crowd. But it was on Sunday that the Frenchman really had to show his tenacity and racecraft. A poor start allowed Hill and Senna to jump him into turn 1, leaving Prost with everything to do if he wanted to take the 50th victory of his career. Soon on the tail of his nemesis, fans witnessed one of the greatest wheel-to-wheel duels in F1 history. In a much slower McLaren, Senna fended off the flying Frenchman lap after lap, the two legends showing what it means to be a Formula One driver.
This is absolutely sensational stuff.
A fabulous run up the inside through Stowe finally got the move done, and Senna fell behind. Pushing hard, Prost raced off in chase of his teammate, quickly closing the gap and putting immense pressure on the inexperienced Hill. But with less than 20 laps to go, Hill's Renault V10 expired, spitting out a plume of smoke and flames. The three-time world champion had pushed his teammate's engine into failure.
What can I or anybody say?
Prost took first place for the 50th time in his career, an outstanding mark that only 3 drivers have surpassed. Prost's self-proclaimed best and favourite race weekend was the 1990 Mexican Grand Prix, and it's easy to see why. The Frenchman had struggled to get his qualifying tyres working properly, so made the bold decision of focusing on race setup. He had hoped the plan wouldn't compromise his qualifying performance too much, but when he crossed the line and was only 13th, he knew he had his work cut out. But the Ferrari driver was determined to pull a rabbit out of the hat on Sunday. After morning warm-up, Prost was buoyant, predicting he would win the race. And that's exactly what he did. He drove the perfect Grand Prix. Having set his car up to be easy over the bumpy track and fitted with soft tyres, he rapidly made his way through the field, passing every opponent with skill, precision and determination. With 15 laps to go, he threw his Ferrari 641 past teammate Nigel Mansell to take P2. The cheers from the crowd echoing around the circuit. A sweeping pass on rival Ayrton Senna handed him the lead of the race, and he shot towards the flag to take the top step of the podium. Six out of 6 wins. That's how McLaren started the 1988 Formula One season. 3 wins for Prost, 3 wins for Senna. Both at the wheel of the most dominant car in Formula One history. But as yet, the world hadn't seen the two foes really go head-to-head as teammates. That was all about to change in France. The Professor arrived at Paul Ricard with every intention of winning. This was, after all, his home race. Setting a blisteringly aggressive lap, the Frenchman out-qualified Senna by half a second. The first time he'd beaten the Brazilian in qualifying all season.
I have a little bit more pressure than, you put me more pressure.
He took that form into the race and made an excellent start to storm off into a commanding lead. That was until a sticky front left tyre at his pit stop allowed Senna to sneak by. The chase was on. Prost slowly reeled in his teammate. He could see the back markers ahead and knew this was his opportunity. As Senna tried to lap the Minardi of Pierluigi Martini, the Frenchman shot up the inside, flying through at the first corner to take the lead.
And slingshotting straight past is Alain Prost.
Senna attempted to come back, but the wily Prost knew exactly where to position his car to block him. Prost pulled out a 30-second advantage to joyfully take the checkered flag. He had kept this special performance for his home crowd, a popular victory that would go down in the history books.
It's never easy, but when you win, it's a little bit easier than when you lose. And today was a very good race. I must say that everything went well, and I was a little bit quicker than Ayrton all through the race. Even when I had traffic at the beginning, I was quite confident to win. I was a little bit quicker through the fast corner, and I braked very late.